Hi, it's November 11th, and this is my second video regarding COPD and my personal thoughts about why you don't have to give up just because you've contracted this disease. Well, what happened after my first video was I was contacted by a fellow in Oklahoma regarding a friend of his who he had concerns about because in his own mind the guy had given up. Well, he wanted to know just what it is that I did that helped me recover such a large portion of my capacity. You know, this particular question is a little tough for me, but I thought about it and I thought about it, and it's going to boil down to two things. The first thing is really kind of the simplest part of it. It's called walking. See, a lot of times you get basically set in your chair because you don't feel like you can go anywhere. For me, just going up steps was, quite honestly, a misery. So I can relate to this guy and why he probably has just stayed complacent and stayed in a chair and has basically given up. After a while, you know, the pain and the aggravation and everything else, you start to get used to it. Then you start to accept the results of it. And that's going to be part of the biggest thing. That's one of the biggest things you're going to have to overcome. But to make it simple, it got down to walking. I didn't walk 5 miles in a day. No, surely not at the beginning. I walked to the end of the block and back. And that was tough on me because that was in the heat of the summer. But I did it. And I made almost a daily endeavor with this. It was a daily. You know, I had to stay focused on that. But what I found out when I was walking, if you walk at a pace, it starts to push your breathing, and it will, no matter what it is. Each person has their own certain limitations. You're going to start forcing your breathing, and that's when you have a chance to do something about it. Because if you do the pursed lip breathing, which is more like, and you're trying to force air out, you're forcing out a lot of this old carbon dioxide that has stayed trapped in there, because part of this COPD is that you can't truly breathe out. So you can't transfer the good oxygen back in and push the old oxygen back out. But if you do that while you're walking, another thing is going to happen. It may not be the prettiest thing, but you're going to cough. And when you cough, you're going to bring out some stuff. Well, that's what you have to do. That's really part of it. I know it's not pretty, and it's certainly not the prettiest sound, but anybody that's been around you has heard you cough, and everybody knows it's one of the ugliest sounds they've ever heard, and that's just facts. So the thing is to get up there and start walking. I don't care if it's a little bit. I don't care if it's to the end of the driveway and back. I don't care if it's to the end of the block and back. You will make gains. Small gains when you have COPD are great gains. They're fantastic. You know, you can't ask any more of yourself than to try. Now, with that being said, let me approach another subject with this, another topic. What does it take to finally get you to think this way? You've had COPD, you've been miserable, your body hurts. Everybody that's got it knows what it's like to try to breathe through a filled up balloon that won't empty out. You can't push more air into it, and the daggone balloon won't contract, and you can't push any air out. Well, we know what that's like. I was at 17% of my lung capacity before I made my change. What it took for me, I had gotten used to not caring anymore. I got used to the fact that this was going to shorten my life, so what the hell? I had gotten used to the fact that, hey, don't even try to do that right now. What I didn't get through my head was that I was starting to be selfish. It was just about me. It was completely about me. Until it finally hit me. My sister, my brother, my wife, my friends, they were all noticing that I looked pathetic. I looked terrible. And they were a little too political to say too much about it. My wife had mentioned sometime a year later that, in a sense, she felt like she was mourning my death because I had come to accept it. Well, until that epiphany occurred to me that it's not about me, it's about those people. I finally found the strength or the energy to pick myself up off my butt and at least get out there and try. And I didn't have the best time in the world to try. It was in the heat of summer in coastal Mississippi. The humidity's up, which if anybody's got COPD, that just is a pain in the tail. It's miserable. But it's what it took. I didn't walk a quarter mile for the first week. I couldn't. But it didn't stop me from trying. And what, like I said, when you walk, you start to cough that stuff out. This is a great thing, because I started to realize over the first few days that at least for 10 or 15 minutes after I got back in and I got my breath back, I actually felt better. I actually felt like I was breathing easier. Now that's a wonderful thing. So my advice to this fellow's friend is try. And most importantly, think that there's other people out there that care about you maybe more than you care about yourself. Then maybe that'll be the motivation you need. Because I can promise you this. You're not going to be an Olympian any more than I felt like I was ever going to be a marathoner. But when you start making those gains, the people around you are going to feel happier, better. They're going to be proud of you. You're going to be proud of yourself. And it may just motivate you to move on forward. So that's what I got to say today. I know I'm not a professional, and I'm certainly not a pulmonologist. But that's the way I see it right now. Good luck. And for any of you out there wanting to do something about it too, my Facebook is open to everyone. If you can contact me through any of your other friends, feel free to do it. See you later. Bye.